Hello and namaskar everyone. Thanks for joining me for a new episode of the podcast. You are an amazing member of Yatharth podcast family. Today we have Harleen on the show. Harleen has more than 17 years of experience as software engineer with companies like Microsoft. After working for more than a decade and a half, she has started practicing as a psychotherapist, life and mindfulness coach. Today she will be sharing her journey, experiences and valuable insight as life coach. Please welcome Harleen for the show. I will ask Harleen to give a small introduction before we explore more on the subject. Mike is all yours, Harleen.
Hey, hi Ankesh. Thank you so much for having me here. Surely, my journey has been very interesting. I am actually a software engineer by profession originally. I started my career at Philips Semiconductors in Bangalore, and then I moved to Microsoft Redmond, USA for about 8 years. And then we relocated back to Hyderabad, where I worked in business development and headed the BD there for about 7 to 8 years. Now I am a psychotherapist and a multidisciplinary one at it. I am also a positive psychologist, and I love that, to move from a more extrinsic role to an intrinsic role is great, I think. Yeah.
Okay, great. So one of the interesting part is, why did you make this switch? Because you working for Microsoft, that's kind of pinnacle of software engineering, the few companies that one can work. So from there to make this choice, what was your reasons to do it?
The reason was personal, Ankesh. The reason is that, I have had, in fact, actually I made a video about this also, which is I was diagnosed with an autoimmune disorder in America while I was working for Microsoft. Both my pregnancies, both my children, I think I got the symptoms of it after my first baby. But I was not diagnosed. People could not figure out what it is. And I'm talking about the best doctors, so-called best doctors, right? We think.
Yeah.
And they could not figure out what was going on with me. So for almost 2 years, I ate a lot of medicines after my first child was born. And I'm talking of a lot of strong medicines, right? So I was in this chemical la-la land for almost until the second baby was for 2 years. And then the second pregnancy happened, and each month was a fire drill. It was pretty crazy. Each month, the doctor said, "Yaar, baby nahi hoga." So you have to be strong. You have to be happy. There's a lot of responsibility on you when you're pregnant, right? Because you want to make sure your baby is mentally resilient and fit. So irrespective of what the doctor is telling you, there's a lot that you're doing. So long story cut short, it was a fire drill. I think I lost it. At 8th month, my doctor finally tells me कि I don't think anything can happen. We'll have to just operate and pull the baby out. The baby is not growing. कि कुछ नहीं हो सकता. So I am a spiritual person. I mean, I believe, for me, the faith is strong. Faith that there is a superpower, right? And we just bow down to him or whatever. I lost it that day. I lost it that day, and I went. I think I hit my rock bottom. So I think my life, the entire experience is about how the system worked at that time and how they were not able to cure me. My long story cut short, after my baby was born, my second one was born, after a year and a half is when I was diagnosed. So stuff just kept getting worse and worse and worse, to the point where my fingers and my toes were all blue and purple. And I was told you have to get them amputated because I had gangria, right? So basically, gangria is when there's no oxygen supply, which is why they become purple, right? So when oxygen stops coming, then
yes.
And it is growing, right? It's just like 1 millimeter, and then it's come to centimeters, and then it's come to inches. That's worrisome.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So
that from being a healthy person to going to this is scary.
It is very scary. And when no one can help you, and when the doctors are saying, I'm trying hard, but I can't, I don't know what's going on. That's very reassuring.
Yeah. So yes, medical field also has limitations. So coming back to the discipline that you work in, this psychologist and being a psychotherapist. So what exactly the subject is like for a layman who don't know? Like we are listening a lot about mental health and other stuff. You need to talk to people. So, but I want you to explain deeper, explain the subject more. What is psychologist and psychotherapist?
Sure. So psychology is basically the study of the mind, right?
Yes.
And its functions, the brain. When I say mind, I mean the brain within, right? And when you're studying the brain and its functions in the context of behavior, right, then that is the study of psychology. And
Okay.
and behavior and thoughts is essentially what governs the entire body.
Yeah.
How we react, whatever we do is a consequence of the thoughts that originate from the mind, correct?
Sure.
So that is what is psychology. Psychotherapy is healing of mental disorders using psychology alone. That means we don't use medicines, right? We rely on the power of understanding how the interaction between the brain and your system, the brain and the behavior, the brain and the thoughts, and we use that understanding to heal mental disorders. That is what is psychotherapy. I will introduce a third term here called as psychiatry, right?
Okay.
Which you have not asked, but because it is relevant and we want the user to gain benefit from this conversation.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, so psychiatry is also healing mental disorders, Ankesh, but there they are doing it with the use of medicines, where they say it is okay for me to give you a drug, an antidepressant or an SSRI or SNRI. So it is the use of medicines. That's it. That is the only difference. But today, unfortunately, people are very confused. People are using all these terms interchangeably. They don't understand what is what.
Yeah. And that's the problem. Like these are the things which require a special somebody with good skills and specialization. Like if I'm going through a difficult time or depression or something like that, it's hard for me to understand, okay, who do I approach? Or if someone is not exactly in depression state, but they are in high stress work or high stress situation, and how to whom should a person person who's going through severe stress and maybe at the point of getting into depression, who should he approach and what should be his steps?
Okay. I think the decision there, Ankesh, is very personal. See, for me personally, I believe, given my experience, right, and for me that's very important, that when you choose a doctor, you have to choose someone who resonates with you, right? The frequency needs to match. Or someone who's had a similar experience, especially when you're talking about a mental and emotional state, which is why, personally, what I would do is I would look for someone who has had a similar breadth and depth of experience, because it means that they can understand you, right? See, someone who's not been through that, or who has not had either first-hand experience or even second-hand, chalega, right? I can't be the most dukhiest person on earth and only then treat everyone. That's not correct.
Yeah.
Right?
True, yes.
Right. So second-hand experience also counts. But to answer your question specifically, if you are low, you should definitely shop and look for therapists and see what their philosophy is. Right? And if their philosophy is something that resonates with you, then go to them. Number one. Number two, when you go to a therapist, you have to trust them, right? You have to first empty your cup. Only then you can get the full benefit of them, right? If you're going with your preconceived notions, with your ideologies, ki aisa hi hona hai, or with your suspicions, then even if someone wants to heal you, how can they heal you? Because your cup is full. Wo bichara, whatever he puts is going to overflow. It's going to come out of the cup, right? So once you empty the cup, only then can someone add in some positivity, right? And only once positivity is there, usko aap ghologe, tabhi to aap pee paoge, right?
True.
Yeah.
So, but in some situation where people are actually on the edge, it's difficult for them to empty their mind. Like that's where that stays with you. You are constantly in the same thoughts, and your mind is riddled with those kind of thoughts. So how do one achieve that, like to empty his thought and then approach a therapist?
Okay, no, so you should, it's not that you should empty the thought and then approach a therapist, because if you're waiting to empty the cup, then it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then to bring you can keep doing lage raho, matlab, it's not going to happen, right?
Yes.
That is where I said that you need to resonate with a therapist, and there needs to be the trust factor. See, because when you are going to a therapist, the last thing you want to do is get caught up in a counselor or a therapist who is just looking at volumes, where they want you to come month after month. You know how you have counselors where people have been going to them for years at end. That doesn't benefit anyone. Yeah, without, right? See, everything has to have an end date. Right? If I am a good counselor, if I'm a good therapist, my job is to heal you. It's not to make you get married to me and keep paying me for the rest of your life.
And not to build your career.
Exactly. And people should think about this, right? So when they are looking for good hallmarks of a good therapist, you need to see, what is their duration? Are they able to heal people? How soon are they able to heal people? Or most of their clients long term? The moment you hear the clients are long term, it should be like a red flag. Why?
Okay.
Right? If someone is, but that said, you have problems where people like to maintain a long-term relationship, but that is sporadic, right?
Yeah.
But coming back to your question, Ankesh, which is, how do I do it? I think it comes to finding a good person where you can trust and someone whose motivation is very evident to you. Coaching and therapy is about the bond here and the bond here, right? If there is no bond, that trust won't come. If there is no trust, you won't be able to empty your cup. As simple as that. Once you establish trust and the rapport forms, right, then you will automatically talk.
Yeah, obviously, then if you're comfortable to share things with somebody, probably you also need to work on that as a somebody who's approaching a therapist. It's also the job of the person to also work upon himself so that he can get best out of from the therapist.
Yes, and it is the job of the therapist to make them feel comfortable. That's what I'm saying, right?
Okay.
See, they have the knowledge, they have psychology behind them, they have studied how the functions work. So
True.
It is up to them to also establish the rapport. But what you're saying is right. The will is yours. No one can fight against your free will. If you're going to be stubborn and saying, no, I will not talk, chahe jo kar le, you
so
can...
kuch nahi ho sakta. Never do it.
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly.
So one of the challenges that everyone is facing, like in India, probably we are not comfortable talking about things, especially related to stress or mental, and especially for say somebody like a man or a guy, if you talk about your feelings, those are frowned upon, like अरे क्या तू है लड़का है लड़के जैसा behave करो. So those kind of thing happen. So at what time I can understand that okay, it's not about bravado anymore. I'm going into a deep shit. So what are the signs that I can read for myself? Okay, this is where I'm getting wrong. Probably then I'll be able to make a better decision. It's not that a normal stress or normal tough time that I'm going through. Rather, I am into something which is different and difficult, for which I need to approach a therapist or a psychologist. So what are the signs that one, as an individual, I should look to see, okay, whether I'm in that situation or not?
Okay. Now they are both physical and mental signs, right? I'm going to quickly talk about both. But first, I'm going to talk about mental, which is if you are in a state where you're boxing yourself in, either a super positive state or a super negative, both are imbalanced. Let's realize that, okay?
Yeah.
Both is an issue. And so let's say if my mind is full of negative emotions and thoughts, and there is only one dialogue in my head where anything and everything I think is leading to just that one thought. I am aware of my thoughts. If anything and everything I do is leads to that one negative dialogue, then that is a red flag. Why is everything, and because normally you have a spectrum of thoughts in your head, right?
Yes.
If all actions are leading to the same road, that is a problem, basically.
Okay.
So that is a sign that tells you that no, there is something wrong with me, where my mind is unable to filter, process independent thoughts. Because it's suddenly my mind, instead of becoming a multi-lane road, has become a funnel where whatever I put in, there's only one output.
Okay.
Right? Inputs are several, but the output is only one. Dukhi, bichara, whatever. Right? Or super happy, super positive. So that is also a problem, right? So that is your mental sign, where you should be able to catch yourself. That are you thinking of only one thing? Physically, there are many manifestations. You have to catch what works for you. Are you irritable? Are you impatient? Have you suddenly become intolerant? Are you getting headaches? Are you suddenly becoming anxious? Are you becoming restless, sleepless, right? All those are signs that your endocrine system, which is your hormones in your body, are not working in balance anymore. And typically, any imbalance in your body is a manifestation of an emotional unrest. And any emotional unrest needs to be tackled. Either you tackle it through yourself or you use a simple life coach. You don't even have to go to a psychologist or a psychotherapist. Just go to a life coach to tackle it, because he's a coach. He or she is just simply a coach, your mentor.
Okay, so this coach, first of all, what is a life coach? Like we all know coaching from a particular discipline. Like there are technical coaches, there are discipline coaches, domain specific coaches. But what is life coach?
Okay, so life coach, just like your technical coaching that you have said, life coach is someone who is your coach or mentor about your life, which means that they are going to teach you skills, competencies on how to get through your life, achieve your goals in a way that is best for you, right?
Okay.
Basically, like your mentor, someone who's going to hold your hands and guide you. When someone comes in a life coaching relationship, they make deliberate decisions on how the person who's come needs to grow. For example, right, if you come to me and you say, hey, Harleen, I want to become the next big journalist in the next 2 years, you know, and I'm confused. How do I do that? It is my job to reach out and make you understand your true potential, build the skill and competencies, make you go on a path that helps you achieve that. That's it. So life coaching is simply using the psychology to help get you where you want to go, basically.
So again, somebody who would be mentoring me and guiding me, how do I find the right coach? Because it would be very difficult if I'm looking for someone to help me and mentor me, and I find not the right person. Then it might lead to an even bigger downfall than what I from the other side of the. So how do I ensure that I'm finding the right coach for myself?
Due diligence.
Because that would be picture. Yes, because I'm not really sure about the West, but India, we are not still into that field where coaching is and mentoring is that common. We try to make our decision, talk to friends and talk to whoever is in our family or something like that. But we don't have any professional setup to do that. So how do we do that?
I would say due diligence, Ankesh, right? You have to figure out, like I keep telling you, right? See, for example, if you would have to find a life coach who has your similar experiences, right? Which is why, like when I talk about myself, right, where I keep saying that for me, my breadth and depth of experience, the fact that I've done corporate, business, negotiations, logistics, the fact that I have done a lot of it in my 17 years of career gives me knowledge and know-how of the situations one faces during that time. The fact that I was in a hole myself due to my health, where the medical system could not help me for whatever reason, right? I'm not blaming anyone. It made me realize what it is to get into that black hole which people get into, right? And how to get out of it. And your life coach essentially should be someone who can fight your war. As simple as that. So if you're asked, if I have to give you one advice, I would tell you this. You need a life coach who will go to war for you. He or she will be ready to fight your battle, hold your hand, right? Get into that hole with you. It's not someone who's going to stand on top and say, Acha, you need help, but I am here. Le mera haath. Right? Example, right? It is someone who says, I'm not afraid. I jumps down with you, holds your hand and say, we are in it together. Let's do this together. That is the philosophy or approach that you need to look for. That's it.
Okay. So where do I find a life coach? In my organization or outside? Is there a place where people are professionals? I can reach out to professionals who are into life coaching.
In India, that's still, like you said, it's not very paramount as yet, right? It's not very prominent as yet. And the reason being is because it's not a very financially lucrative position. So mostly people get into psychology or psychiatry, because that is known, right? And also there's a lot of mental and emotional stigma attached with seeking help. Right. So which is, with that itself is a big barrier to entry for people. Why should we get into a field which is so restrictive? Right. So in India, there is no one place that you can find. If you want to go overall, there is a CTAA, Complementary Therapy, American Association of Therapists. You can approach there, where you have a lot of complementary therapists who are doing this all over the world, right? Or in India, you would just do a Reddit, you would Google, Facebook, or word of mouth. See, I have grown word of mouth, right? And when you make a difference, right? This is where law of nature comes into play. This is the reason I've got into this. When your motivation is clear, right? When there is honesty in your heart, sincerity in your actions, and truth in your words, you will attract people. Positivity will come to you. So look around, ask people. I'm sorry, there is no real answer to that question. I know it's not very useful.
No, but it's fine. At least through this podcast, people can reach out to you, and then from there on, the conversation may go on. So whoever is watching, I guess you are one stop for anybody who's looking for help.
Surely, definitely, and there are several others, right?
Yeah, sure.
Because this
maybe
is a novel
people can ask. So people can ask you can recommend it. So that's the reason we are doing this podcast, that anyone who is listening would take out something from it, and they can. And okay, so that's been that. There has been a lot of talk about mindfulness recently going on. People are discovering the power of meditation. But whatever I have done, the research is very vague. So can you give me a concise answer? What is mindfulness, and how do I use it in my life? Like any professional, whether student, professional, starting their career, how do they incorporate mindfulness and meditation, power of meditation? And
okay. Actually, I'm glad you're asking this question, because today mindfulness is being used very loosely, right? Without understanding. It's like a word that is trending, and everyone is just hanging on to the trend without really comprehending what it really is.
What it is, yes.
Hanji. So see, mindfulness essentially is gaining awareness, right, of your thoughts and feelings. So when I'm aware of my thoughts and feelings, it means that I'm able to control it. Very easy to say, very difficult to do, right? But let me just say that also, right? So people who promise you on workshops and say this is the 10-step process to gain mindfulness, think about it yourself.
It's not that easy.
It's very powerful. People who can do that, you can just imagine what you can do with it, right? So mindfulness is basically just that, where you have the power to control your thoughts, behaviors, and actions. Okay, number one. How do you do it, right? There are three ways of doing it. One is by recollection. Second is memory. Third is awareness. I will get into these. Recollection is first have a clear picture of who you are in your core, right? So for example, let's say I am upset at my husband. Example, okay? It's not that I do it, no judging. But let's say I'm upset at my husband and suddenly I want to shout at him. Okay? Now, when I'm getting upset, when I'm getting angry, there are thousands of thoughts running in my mind, right? True. And I've held on to that negative thought, and I'm just going to open my mouth to bichara eat his head, right? To make his life hell. But before I do that, if I am mindful, I suddenly remind myself, who am I? What is my core? Am I this nasty person? If my mind suddenly says, hurt him by using the bad words, right? Because I'm upset at that time. If I'm able to recollect, Harleen, stop. Are you this bad person? Number one, recollection. That power to recollect and gain control of your thoughts. That is the first step to mindfulness. Are you this mean person, Harleen? Do you really want to do this? If the answer is no, you calm down. Right. Second, memory. Memory is bringing awareness, right, to the words. Right? Then, yes, I'm upset. If I still want to communicate, instead of saying something bad and harming, now that I know I'm not this bad person, let me bring awareness and use a lighter tone to communicate the same. That is what is memories, which is bringing awareness to what I'm doing. Third, physiology. If I'm angry, I might look like a villain from a movie. Eyes flaring, hands thing. Who knows? Example. Yeah. Right? So that is bringing attention to our physicality, right? Am I really this? What am I? I'm just going to do that. So it's bringing awareness to your entire body and behavior. If you are able to control all those three, that in a nutshell is mindfulness. Okay? And how do you do that? Is the next $1 million question.
Yes.
It is not easy. There are many courses online, right? Some free, some paid, which teach you the art of mindfulness. Mindfulness is a practice, right? The more you practice, the more it will become. So meditation is a big part of being mindful. I can give you a simple step for you and the viewers today if you really want to learn mindfulness, okay? And this is something that I use with my clients when I'm doing mindfulness with them. Yeah. Simple thing about learning mindfulness, when you brush your teeth. How many minutes do we brush our teeth for? Supposed to be for 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, supposed to be for 3 before you answer that question, right? Yeah, so as per the dentist, you're supposed to brush your teeth for 3 full minutes, right? Now, while you're brushing your teeth, being mindful is first clear your mind of all thoughts, right? Only pay attention to the toothbrush. Let your mind start thinking about the toothbrush. Acha, how are the bristles? Are they hard? Are they soft? What is the color? How is my toothbrush? Is it hard? Is it narrow? Is it big? You're basically writing an essay in your mind about brushing. As simple as that. And you're using all 5 senses, right? What are your 5 senses?
My 5 senses with touch, listening, smell, seeing, I told you, seeing, touch, smell. What else I forgot my 5 senses?
No, you're just nervous. I'm sorry for putting in this thing. No, your 5 senses, okay. Is of course eyesight, hearing, smell, touch, taste and touch. Yes. Okay, so you use these 5 senses. The more we activate these senses, the more mindful we become. That's it. So when you're brushing, even tasting it, closing your mind, just feeling, okay, the toothbrush is going up and down. I'm getting that minty taste. Oh, it's coming on my tongue. Oh, the buds are tingling on my tongue, right? So it's writing a 3-minute long essay only about brushing. So that is a simple step of being mindful. If you're able to do this throughout the day for all your activities, you are basically taking control of your mind, right? Where in between no thought can come. The purpose of this is for you to become the master of your mind, not for the mind to become the master of you. Make sense?
Yes.
Right? Because while I'm talking to you, I'm still thinking of 1,000 thoughts.
Yeah, true.
While you're talking to me, you're thinking of it. So see, our mind is full of thoughts. We're not really mindful, right? The mind is still controlling us. It is still getting all those thoughts in its mind. The moment I can control it, I become 100% mindful. But that is not the intention. But yeah, I think I have.
And probably then yes, you have. Probably through that we can increase our productivity as well. So as a professional, so how much I want you to tell people how important it is to get into this kind of practices, so that it definitely helps if you are in control in terms of your career, personal life. So what is your take to that?
No, so what's the question? How should people...
I'm saying that my question is like we are still reluctant to get into these practices. Like we are so busy with our day-to-day life through the stress and everything. How do we incorporate mindfulness practices in our ability, and how important it is? Like you already explained the second question, but I want you to tell, since you have been into a corporate career for a pretty long time, so you'll know the impact that it might have made to your career.
Oh, absolutely. There's no doubt about it, right? And not just, I think as humans, I think I don't want to say especially as Indians, I don't want to generalize that, but there is stigma in the Indian society, right? Where we are made to believe that we are strong. And yes, whatever happens, we have to just walk. Even if we are in a bad relationship, in a bad marriage, in a whatever it is, in a bad job, you have to pass through it. Continue. This is your life. You know, matlab ragadna hai, ragdo beta.
Kuch na kuch ho jayega.
Right. So that feeling is wrong. We have to, the change will come from changing that thought process first. For that, we have to value ourselves. All of us have to do this thing at home, right? Where we say that I am most important, right? If you can actually do this exercise every day, right? It's like affirmations, right? Where I am precious. My mind is most important. I am strong, but it is okay to take help, right? So you use different affirmations, but then where you're telling yourself and you're building that resilience within you, the moment you do that, you will start recognizing and accepting where you need help. The problem is there is no acknowledgement, there is no recognition and acceptance. And the moment someone in the group is going, there's a lot of push happening in the background. Right? Yes, unfortunately. So we are judging. The society is becoming judgmental instead of supportive. Instead of making a community where we are holding hands and building each other up, we are so eager to use our tongues and tear them down. True. So it comes with building awareness. Just the simple answer to your question is being aware of yourself, accepting, telling yourself, I am important. How I feel, how I think is important, how I feel is important, and it's okay to take help. Right? If you do this every day, the 4 actions, right, that it makes you more human and makes you more empathetic. And when you become more empathetic, you become a better person. You will reach out for help. You will encourage others from reaching out for help. And they're reaching out help for whom? To make themselves better for others. Right?
Yeah.
You're benefiting yourself.
Yeah. Myself is the best asset for me, right? So I need to take care of me and my well-being. So that's, I guess people need to understand that it's okay it's okay to revitalize yourself and reconstruct yourself once in a while.
Yes, it's like going to a spa, right? How you go to a spa or a massage to relax your muscles and rejuvenate your body. It is okay once in a while to go and just talk, right? It should probably become a part of your well health checkup, where you're just going and talking and you're trying to see, hey, are my faculties working fine? Right? Is my brain, my emotions, my heart all working in tandem in the right way? Right? Because the last thing you want is stress to build up in such a way that you blow like a volcano. Because we are taught to just keep our mouth shut and zip it and throw away the key.
Yes, true.
So, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So, few last questions that I have and I want to ask you is, how do one initiate into, like, is there a basic tools that one can start with, and then probably then he start getting into the answers, right? Okay, this is helping me, and then probably I can take the next step and reach out to people, or somebody start doing some basic stuff and then he realize, okay, this is working good, and getting the benefit out of it, so that now I can take it to the next level and probably reach out to somebody and do it. Is there is any tool or something, like any hack people should start with?
The hack is attend webinars, probably like what I do, which are some of it are free, where there are sheets and available, right? Where it is just self-evaluation sheets, which will just tell you that. See, the bottom line, Ankesh, the bottom line answer to your question is you have to build self-awareness, right? So you have to ask yourself that, am I looking for people's validation to feel good? What is my self-worth? What is my self-esteem? If I want to promote myself, I would say actually join my social media, because there are a lot of free stuff there. It's not to promote myself. I am actually making videos and giving a lot of free information where it's helping you to think, and I'm doing that for free. And I'm actually doing that as a service to the community, because I want people to think and build that self-awareness in their mind, because only when you are self-aware will you be able to determine, can I handle this on my own, or do I need intervention? Right? You'll be able to understand yourself better, and not only yourself, you'll be able to understand the person in front of you better. It'll make you a better companion. It'll make you a better person for sure. It'll make you a better companion. That's the most beautiful thing. That's the biggest gift you can give, right? Yeah. So self-awareness is what would be the one line answer to your question. Yes.
Okay, great, thanks. Okay, we cannot end this before talking about the current situation that we all are in. Everybody is on the edge, like not people are not used to staying at home, but we are forced to, if we are careful about health. There are jobs being lost, people are anxious about their career. Even they have one, they are anxious, okay, what's going to happen? So a lot of people are getting into that anxiety AZ mode. How do one keep what you call, keep himself or herself together and pass through the situation? Like, what would you advise if somebody is just, if you have to give a generic advice?
Generic advice would be this, right? One is that recognize and realize and accept that everyone is in the same boat. You're not unique. That is very important for your subconscious mind to say ki you're not alone, right? Where aap khai mein akele nahi ho jo jaane wale ho, right? There's an entire world with you, number one. Number two, you have to create a positive aura around you. How do we do that? Right? Because as it is a lot of negativity, like you said, right? There is, so how do you counterbalance that? You counterbalance that, one, with a routine. Make sure you have a routine in place. Make sure you are physically exercising. It is very important for those hormones to be released. See, when you're going out at work, what you don't realize, you're talking to people, you're walking, you're going out for a walk, tea break, coffee break, cooler break. You're doing all of that. So hormones are being released, right? That sitting at home on your chair, working 8 hours in a day continuously is detrimental to you in that sense, right? So definitely physical exercise is a must. Connections. Make sure that you are in touch with people, because connections release oxytocin in you, and oxytocin, one among the many hormones which makes you feel good as a person. You want those good hormones. You need daylight, right, for serotonin to release, because lack of serotonin is what gets you into those depressive and anxiety kind of thoughts, right? So
Yes.
mood, daylight, good food, eat your multivitamins. This is the time to eat it, right? Don't become fat, but definitely eat good food. And connections, positivity. Pray. It's a well-being where you're doing all things. Yeah, there has to be physical activity, there has to be emotional activity, there has to be spiritual activity and mental activity. All 4 parameters need to be met, basically.
Okay. Thanks, Harleen. Thanks for this episode. Like, this is one of the most important episodes that I have done talking to you. It's been a learning for me, and I hope a lot of people who are listening to this podcast will be a great learning, and people can reach out to you. So if somebody wants to reach out to you, where he or she can reach out to you?
So they can get on my Facebook, which is Soul Therapy with Harleen Bagga. I also have a YouTube channel, which I mentioned, where I do a lot of these videos to empower and teach people so that they can build self-awareness. So I would definitely recommend that. I also do a live series every Thursday where I get a lot of questions on my Gmail or Facebook or WhatsApp, where I'm just answering them again for free, right? So
Yeah,
that's my motivation, to serve people and to create that community, right? And hopefully together we can do it. So those
Yes,
are the
sure.
resources where we can do it. So yeah,
Okay,
I need people like you on this mission of mine.
Yeah,
Right?
of course,
Have to do it.
I'm on board. So
Yeah.
I'll put all your social media links on my on the description of this episode. I'll be putting it on YouTube and Anchor and other podcast platform. Everywhere I'll put whatever social media, your soul therapy YouTube channel, Facebook pages, and other stuff. So thanks again for being on the show. Before we end this, you have any parting words to say about the conversation we had, or about this podcast, or anything that you would like to say?
Thank you. I had a great time too, Ankesh. The only thing I'd like to tell people is that being better is feel is more important than just appearing better, right? So don't be afraid to reach out, accept, and get yourself in a place where you really feel better from your heart and your mind. Don't cheat yourself. Right? The moment we start cheating ourselves and we say we are fine, we are doing ourselves a disservice. You are the most important thing in the world. Remember that. Only when you are all right, you can help the people around you. You can grow at your work. You can take care of your parents or your family. For that, you, my friend, is important. There is no two ways about that. Invest in yourself, period. Invest doesn't mean going and buying a Louis Vuitton bag and buying a Prada thing. Invest in a way that builds you up, right? Emotionally, mentally, and physically.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you a lot for coming to the show, and it's been a pleasure talking to you.
Thanks for watching this podcast. If you enjoyed this conversation, please like, share and subscribe. Share it to your friends and family, and let us grow this conversation together. Thank you. Thanks a lot.